It happens every year, but I can't explain to you why we are so excited, but we are very excited because it's a very special month. It's a month that comes with full of blessing, where small actions, the reward of that is magnified, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, God Almighty, gives us an opportunity to what I like to call as reboot our lives. So I see Ramadan as like a boot camp, right? So it's like doing, well, I've been doing whatever I'm doing, but then here's an opportunity to sit down, take stock, and say, well, if all this is fine, well, wonderful. But if it isn't, then here's an opportunity to do something about it and to change my approach, my attitude, my actions, how I speak, what do I do, and so on and so forth. Because Ramadan is not only about fasting, it's not just fasting from food and drink and desires during a specific time of the day. It's fasting from everything which is negative, not for that specific time of the day, but for the whole of our lives, to whatever extent we can do it. Right? That's the whole purpose of fasting, and that's why our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that if you cannot control your tongue, God has no need for your stopping eating and drinking. He said, control your tongue, because that's the biggest problem that we have. So this is about fasting. It's very exciting. It's very exciting to be part of, from the Muslim perspective, part of 1.5 billion or more people worldwide who all are doing the same thing today. And then from the perspective of others, we have so many friends who are not Muslim but who are, with us in this fasting. To the extent that I have some friends who actually fast in Ramadan.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, in India, even here in America, where they fast just like that. I mean, they say, no, you're fasting, we are fasting with you. There are people who are so sensitive to people who are fasting. I remember I was on a flight once, and the stewardess brought the meal. So I said, thank you, I won't have it. I'm fasting. And there was a guy sitting next to me who turned out to be a Christian. He said, I don't want. I said, why are you not eating? He said, because you're fasting. I said, no, 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 please. So he said, you don't mind? I mean, I don't need the food. I'm happy. I said, no, I hugely appreciate your gesture, but definitely, I mean, I have no intention of making you go hungry because I am fasting. But people are like this. There's wonderful people who are with you, in sync with you in this thing. So it's a wonderful, it's a really a wonderful month. And today, like, it's a beautiful day as well.
I
So
know, it's a perfect day. Once the sun came out,
yes,
subhanAllah, it had to happen.
had to happen, had to happen.
So how is this year? I mean, I guess last year we were in the pandemic too.
Right.
Last year we were in the pandemic too, but how is this year a little different, if at all, because of COVID?
It's different because last year, I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we had everything shut down, including the mosque. Everything was shut down. We had our Taraweeh prayers in the night, we had none of that last year. And so it was, again, everything has two sides to it. So it was sad. There's no doubt about that. It was very sad. We like to come to the mosque. We like to pray in congregation. We have here a Hafiz who comes from Morocco, and his recitation is fabulous. And so it's all of this. But you couldn't have any of that. But what it did give us an opportunity was for a lot of us to lead the prayer themselves in their homes, which many people had never done, right? So they needed to upgrade their skills, so to speak. I mean, they needed to memorize some stuff and all that, or even read from the Quran, which is permissible. Then they were at home, so there was a lot of time for family time, for talking. For a lot of people just to talk to their children and their spouses itself is a, within quotes, unique experience. I mean, it should not be, but it is, right? Like a friend of mine, she called me. She said, "You know what? I found a strange man in my house," and then I realized my husband. So I said, maybe he's saying the same thing about you. So it was like that. So people got. So it was good in that way of family time, but it was sad. This time, we are able to have the mosque open, and of course, getting into this mosque is like getting into Fort Knox. I mean, I mean, they do everything except invasive surgery to see if you are sick or not. But but they make sure that everyone who comes in here, to the best of our ability, is scanned and screened and so on and so forth. So and very very strict protocol is maintained with regard to social distancing, masking, the works. Inside, I'm standing here outside without a mask because I'm talking to you, but inside, no way. I mean, we all wear these things. So
So Tarawih is happening.
Tarawih is happening, and we have again limited capacity. Obviously, I think even less than half or something like that, maybe 1/3 of the capacity. But Tarawih is happening, alhamdulillah, and it's we have this Imam Abdullah from Morocco who comes every year. So last year he didn't come, but this year he came, and very beautiful recitation. I mean, it's very nice. Yeah, we have also, as you know, we have a lady section as well. So not too many women come, but there are some women also who come. So this year is within course much nicer.
What would you say to someone who isn't Muslim and doesn't know about Islam and Ramadan? What would you say to them if you could explain it to them?
Yeah, I'd say become Muslim, you'll know. I mean, that's the simplest way, right?
Good answer, yeah.
Why not? I mean, I would say to them, come and see for yourself, experience it. You know, we used to have our iftars, and so we've had this big hall inside on these iftar nights. We used to have an interfaith iftar every year. It would be full of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So people have come. This mosque is very open, very interactive with everybody, as you know. So it's I would say to them, the best way to learn about a culture is to make friends with people who are of that culture. So I would say, make friends with your Muslim neighbors, and I say to the Muslims, make friends with your non-Muslim neighbors, right? And just make friends. I mean, we're not trying to convert anybody. I said to you, but if somebody wants to become Muslim, you're not going to stop them. But the reason for meeting someone is not to convert them, but just to know people. I mean, understand each other, because a lot of, as you know, a lot of suspicion and so on comes because of lack of knowledge. We don't know, and the mind is funny. You have equal opportunity to think the best or to think the worst. But 9 times out of 10, we will think the worst, right? And so that's sad. Yeah, human nature. I mean, this is crazy. But anyway, that's how it is. So I would say just get to know people. Ask any question you like. There's no question that you should not ask or cannot ask, but ask respectfully. I mean, that's very important. And this is general advice. I teach. I'm a leadership trainer and a coach, an executive coach. So I do cross-cultural integration training. Usually that is in the context of the corporate world. It's really for American managers who are going to work in the Middle East and India and so on and so forth. But it works for everything else. So one of the things I tell people is that number one, ask questions. Number two, ask questions respectfully. Number three, don't approach it from a judgmental standpoint, right? I remember very distinctly, there's a friend of mine who I won't name, but he lives in a place called Roanoke. And Roanoke is, yes, Virginia. And so he invited me home. So I drove down and I went to his house. And he and I, his wife, myself, and we were sitting at a meal. So I said, what's in Roanoke? So he said, lots and lots of Christians. That's what he said. He said, there's nobody there. He said, this is a white town, this is a Christian town. So anyway, in the course of our dinner, his daughter came in, and she was 17 years old. And she came and she, picked up something from the table, and his wife and he both said, you know what, she's 17, she's almost 18, and she's still at home, she hasn't left home. Now, I'm thinking to myself, what am I hearing here, right? I mean, here's a 17-year-old girl, and the parents are saying, so I said, is there a problem with her? He said, no, of course not. We love her. She's a beautiful girl. She looks perfectly fine to me. And then I realized it's a difference in culture. In my culture, if my 17-year-old daughter wanted to leave home, I'd have a heart attack and die, right? I mean, simple as that. You'll be dead. But in this culture, why are you still home? Right? Why is it, I mean, one of the things people say about the millennials is that they stay home too long, right? But at least a little bit before that, you say, well, if you're 18, you're still living with your parents. Why? Go work. And so the reason I'm giving this example is because there's no right and wrong. The right and wrong culture, in culture, there's no right and wrong. Culture, right and wrong depends on the culture. So what is right in America is right for America. Now, we cannot impose a outside America or African, Indian, Asian, Middle Eastern framework on this and say this is right, this is wrong. Similarly, we cannot take the American framework and impose it on the Middle East, on India, or whoever and say that is wrong. No, that is right for that. I obviously don't mean things which are obviously wrong in a moral sense or an ethical sense. I mean, giving a bribe is wrong. It doesn't matter which culture. You can't say, no, my culture is, no. Hello, excuse me. It doesn't work like that. So it's I'm not talking about that. I'm saying cultural norms, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, how people dress, for example. One of the big things is women wearing hijab, right? I mean, I don't know, why does a piece of cloth on a woman's head get everyone so excited about, right? The point is, if the woman, if we are saying that a woman must be free to dress whichever way she likes, and that's what I say, absolutely clearly, a woman must be free to dress whichever way she likes. Now, what does that mean? It means whichever, right? Whichever, whatever. If she wants to wear, some headgear which you might think is funny, or you might think, well, I don't like it, so sure, don't wear it, right? It's her head. I mean, this piece of real estate belongs to her, right? I mean, it's not yours. So, I mean, how do you dictate to somebody? So this is what I say to people. I said, either you believe in freedom or you don't believe in freedom. So first decide that. Now, if you don't believe in freedom, then do what you want. I mean, but if you believe in freedom, then believe me, just like I have the freedom to dress the way I want and to, walk and talk the way I want and to eat what I want, as long as I'm not hurting somebody else, right? As long as I'm not interfering in somebody else's privacy, I mean, who is anybody to dictate to me what I should eat, what I should drink, and how I should dress? Now, this is what happens with culture. That's why there is cultural clash, because people impose their own, within quotes, moral or cultural framework. And more than moral, it's really cultural framework. I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong, no matter which country you are in. But it's the cultural framework. What is, within quotes, acceptable to me in my culture? I want to dump it on you and say, Katrina, you know what? This is how you should behave. You say, excuse me, no, I don't have to behave like this. It's fine, you do that. But you can't tell me, how I should behave, because my culture is different. So, I mean, this is, I think that's like a long advice to,
It's great advice.
to your short question. I said, meet your neighbors, talk to them, keep an open mind, don't be judgmental, don't impose your framework on other people. I mean, just 5 points or 4 points.